everybody, and welcome to my channel and welcome to my life. And this is the last of the installment of talking about what happened to me. I am feeling so much better. I am on day 7 now, and I'm starting to get right back to normal, and it's a slow progress, but it's doing a lot better than what it was. I'm going to share with you a little bit my journey, and this is, some people want to call it a heart-to-heart. It's just sharing with you a little bit about how I came from being so fearful to giving it all to God. Before I share with you the story of all of this, I want to share with you my mindset, so you can understand my mindset from going into all of this. At age 21, my mom died. She died 48 hours after giving birth to me. Now, my mom had cesarean, and she was put under anesthesia, and she developed complications, and she never awoke. She never knew that she had little Tessie. And this has been following with me my whole life, and I was always fearful of being put under, putting under anesthesia. I was always fearful about operations. Now, I know nobody enjoys going on the operating table, and I know having a fear of that is something that most people have. The fear I had became like panic attacks, and for about 8 weeks or longer, I knew there was something really wrong with me, and I had a lot of fear. I didn't want to go to the doctor, and I thought it would just go away. But every night I'd get panic attacks, and I had fear of all of this because I had fear of having to have an operation. I just was afraid of not waking up, and that's something that's common, that most people have that fear, but not to the extent that I did. And so you all know the story. I'm not going back into all of that, and I had to have an operation. Now, what I want to talk about is something really intimate, and a lot of people will think this is too much information, but I think in order to share this part, because this was the deciding point of my life, whether I was going to continue to fear or I was going to give it to God and have peace. My lowest point was, my lowest point was Wednesday morning when I fainted, and then they rushed me to the hospital, and they knew that I was going to have all these tests done, and they knew I was going to be operated on. Well, I had to have chest x-rays. In order for that to happen, I had to stand. I stood there and I did my, x-ray and everything, and I was back in the hospital bed, and I was in the hospital bed for about 20 minutes. While I was in the hospital bed, it was really cold, and my cover was off my legs a little bit. So I went to put the cover on my legs, and then I had a flashback. The last time I seen my mother alive was a few hours before she died, and she had her hand on her side and she was covered up, and I pulled her cover back just a moment just so I could reach for her hand, and when I did that, her leg was exposed, and I marveled at the way she looked, and her leg was so soft and warm and looked so natural. It was hard for me to realize that my mother wasn't going to live very long. And I remember holding my mother's hand, and I remember looking at her and just realizing this is it. This is the last time I'm going to see my mom. And when I looked down at my own leg, I had that flashback of my mother. And she was wearing the same type protective outerwear that I was wearing, and immediately there was a peace that came over me. And in the Bible it talks about the peace that passes all understanding, and I had that peace. I had that peace, and I said to God, I said, you know what, Lord, if today I see my mom and my dad, then today is a good day. But God, I really want to be on this earth a little longer, and it's your will, not mine. I gave it all to God. That flashback of my mother gave me peace and comfort. I no longer was anxiety. I no longer was fretting over all of these things. What could happen to me? What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen if I'm on the operating table and I don't wake up like my birth mother? And I gave it all to God, and a peace came over me. The Lord has not given us a spirit of fear, but that of a sound mind. I had a spirit of fear. That fear kept me from going to the doctor. And finally, when I got there, the doctors just tried different things so I didn't have to be operated on. And finally, operation was the only way. And so I want to share with you about peace. And maybe you're living in fear today. So a couple hours later, they wheeled me into the operating table. And I was there, and I said to all of the people, and there was about 7 of them, they were all in different stations getting ready to do their thing. I said, it looks like we're gonna have a party today. That's exactly what I said, and I smiled. They turned around and looked at me quickly and said, boy, we love you already. And their countenance changed. They had no stress on their faces. They smiled, and it was such an enlightening, it was such an uplifting time. I crawled up on that little table and I closed my eyes. Opened my eyes again. Now some of you would say, this is so dramatic, Tessie. Why do you have it so dramatic on little things like this? To me, this is how it was. You see, this is how I think. This is how I am. To me, everything is a life and death situation. This is how I am. This is how I'm wired. I am wired like this. Love for people, love for everything. Maybe is, some would say I exaggerate. This is how I am. I live big. My fear was so big. Every night before I went for my operation, I feared it. I was up all night long. What am I gonna do? What's gonna happen to me? How much is this gonna cost? And what are we gonna do? And all of these things, and what happens if it's cancer? And I told people right away when the doctor called me and said, it's no cancer, Teresa. It's all good. It's all good. I do have a second lease on life. I do. But I realize we can't dictate our lives, and I want to plan everything. I want everyone to like me. I want everyone to show love. I want everyone to show kindness. I want everybody to live in peace. I don't want conflict. I don't like conflict. I want to schedule everything. I want everybody to feel this way, and I want everybody to feel that way. I want to have everything just perfect. I don't want sadness. I don't want pain. But sometimes in life, we can't dictate how it's going to be. And when I gave it to God, that peace came over me. It's a peace I can't describe. So while they were poking and prodding and taking this and taking that and doing all of these things to me that horribly hurt, I had that peace. I had that peace that passes all understanding, that if this was my last day on earth, so be it. God is in control. We are not in control. We can't control anything that happens in our lives. We have no control. I got no control over my life. And it's time I gave it to God. It's time we give our conflicts over to God and let Him take care of it. That's what He's there for. He gives us that peace. I know not everybody's stories end up like mine. I know not everybody's stories end up where they're cancer free and this and that. But I realized right then and there, no matter what was wrong with me, I was going to give it to God. My mom died of a blood clot that traveled to her lung. When the biopsy was all done and the pathology came in, there was a large blood clot they removed. And you never know. You never know. If I would have never went and had the operation, could that blood clot have moved? Could that blood clot have killed me at one point in my life? I don't know. I don't know what the future could have been if I didn't decide to let go of my fears and just do what had to be done. Sometimes we just have to do what has to be done. Many times on my channel, I'm asked to do things that I think I can't do. Many times on my channel, I'm asked to face things I think I can't face. Many times I'm asked to face the criticism, face the people who want to say things. Many times I just want to forget about it. So many times I just want to forget about my channel, and then I realize there is a calling. We are all given a calling. My calling is to be a light in a dark world. My calling is there to be encouragement. Maybe you live like me. Maybe you live in a home that's not perfect. Maybe you don't have all the money in the world. Maybe you have to make do with what you have. That's my calling. My calling is to share with the world that it's not always rainbows. Sometimes there's a lot of rain and a lot of clouds and a lot of pain. But I realize that my calling on this earth is to share my life experience with all of you. And in doing so, I'm sharing my life. Somebody made this statement not long ago, "My Tessie, you sure been through a lot this year." I haven't been through it as much as a lot of people been through. Maybe I've been through a little more than some people. You know, we don't know what our life is gonna hold. We do not know. We don't know what we're gonna face tomorrow. But I know who is there to help me. If it was not for God in my life, I would not be here. I could not handle it. I would not be here. I know it. I would not be able to withstand all of the things that have happened. I'm nobody special. The things that happen to me are minor compared to some people. We all have our own situations in our life. We have our own path that we have to take. We have our own decisions that we have to make. We have our own thought processes. But I want to tell you right now, if you give it up to God, He will be there and He will help the burdens that you have. Lay down the burdens of my heart. I know my Father listens. Oh, show your Father where it hurts. You know He's always listening. Lay down the burdens of your heart. You know your Father listens. Whoa, show your Father where it hurts. You know He's there, He's listening. I cast all my cares upon you. I lay all of my burdens down at your feet. And anytime I don't know what to do, I will cast all my cares upon you. You know, life's not easy. Many times I've prayed to God, please take this bitter cup from me. And sometimes God takes those bitter cups from you, and sometimes He gives you the courage and the strength to go through them. This life is just short. It's a vapor. And when I gave all of that up to God, it doesn't mean that I don't have struggles. I still have struggles. I still, every once in a while, have anxiety at night because I'm so fearful that it's all gonna somehow come back. And every night I get up, and every morning I wake up and I thank the Lord, thank God I'm not going through this again. But through it all, I've learned lessons. And if you can learn a lesson from everything, you'll be so much better. And I learned, for me, I have to give it up to God. I have to give up my control, my fear, my anxiety, my panic disorder. I have to give it all up to God. And in just joy, one day at a time. I was ready to die that day. I didn't want to. I didn't give up. But I said, Lord, whatever your will, let it be. And I think if it wasn't for my mother dying at age 21 through just a simple operation, I don't think I would have this heightened sense of fear of it all, of, you know, being put to sleep. I've always thought about it my whole life. You know, they don't really know exactly everything that happened to her. I mean, they know she had a blood clot, and there was always different things that they thought it could have been. And I just realized that we just got to take one day at a time, and we have to cast our cares upon Him. We have to lay down the burdens of our heart, and we have to take it one day at a time. That may be easy for me to say because I don't have cancer. I don't have that life ahead of me that is wondering, how will I survive? But I believe that if you can give it up to God, I believe fully if you give it up to God, He's there and He will comfort you. I know He's comforted me. I can only share with you my life. I can only share with you my story. I can only share with you the things that I've been through. I don't know what it's like to go through what you have. I don't know what it's like to have the pain that you've gone through. No matter what that is, I don't know that. I can only share with you my story. And I know I have a calling. And that calling is to share with you my life in a positive way, and to share with you encouragement and comfort when you're feeling alone. That's my calling. That's it. If my calling reaches to 60,000 people or 6 people, that's my calling. That's where I'm here, and that's where God wants me to be. I will not stay silent. I will continue to share my faith with the world, because that's who I am. I share my love, my unconditional love for people, because that's what the Lord has taught me. And I want you to know that I am praying for you all. I have many people on my channel that tell me stories. Through all of my health issues, they told me stories, heart-wrenching stories. Stories of losing a loved one. Stories of loved ones in cancer right now. Stories of them in cancer. I'm going to end this with a prayer. Praying on a YouTube channel is not popular. Praying on a YouTube channel is something that's considered taboo in some circles. But I'm going to pray, because I believe in the power of prayer. And I believe that prayer can change lives. And I'm going to pray with you all today. If you don't want to hear about prayer, you can turn off the video. But I'm going to share prayer with all of you. Father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Lord, I ask that you would be with each and every person that's listening to my video today. Father God, meet them where they're at. Whether it's financial, physical, emotional, loved ones that have issues in their lives. Father God, I'm asking that you would give them the peace that passes all understanding, that you would give them comfort in this storm. At their lowest of their low, God, that you would pick them up and hold them in your loving arms, and that they would feel you and feel your love and feel your warmth and comfort, and give the strength, Lord, give them the strength that they need to face another day. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you guys real soon.